Everybody. This is a presentation on how to use adjective clauses in sentences. And basically, an adjective clause describes a noun or a pronoun. It is a dependent clause, which means that it is always connected to an independent clause. For example, I have a house that is blue. That is blue is connected to I have a house. Okay, but an adjective itself describes a noun like a blue house, right? And the adjective clause can come at the end of the sentence, like how, honey, you are a rock that makes my life complete. Honey, you are the sea that has green eyes. These adjective clauses come at the end. And then there are adjective clauses that can be in the middle of the sentence. All right. And the pronouns that connect adjective clauses to the nouns, um, for example, who equals a subject noun, right? And we will talk about that a little more. And whom equals an object noun. All right. So in these adjective clauses, um, the adjective clause is in the middle of the sentence, you know. So the company that supplies plastic bags for us is in China. So this is like in the middle of a sandwich, like the meat is in the middle of the sandwich. So actually, this adjective clause and is connected to the company is in China. Really, this is two sentences. The company supplies plastic bags for us in China. And then there's another sentence in that is the company is in China. Okay, so the company is in China. What you need to do when you have two short sentences is you need to delete company. So the company equals which. So which replaces the company. So you need to say goodbye to this company, and then you're going to put which in the middle after the company. So, and then you need to delete the period, right? And then you have a noun clause, a sentence which has a noun clause. All right. So the noun clause is this one, right? The one I highlighted. And the main clause is the company is in China. All right. So that is how you connect an adjective clause to a main clause. And one thing you need to remember about the adjective clause is that it must be placed as close as possible to the noun or pronoun it describes. And who replaces a subject noun and which replaces a subject noun or an object noun. All right. But on this page, which replaces the subject. So Facebook, which is used by 1.65 billion people, was founded in 2004. So actually, originally, this is two sentences. You could say Facebook, excuse me, Facebook is used by 1.65, I'm sure that's more now. More people use Facebook, million people. It was founded in 2004. So so you can connect these two, the long sentence to the short sentence, because which equals it. So what you need to do is you can delete it and say Facebook, comma, which is used by 1.65 billion people, comma, was founded in 2004. So there you go. There you have it. You can connect the adjective clause to an independent clause. Remember that you always must put the adjective clause right next to the noun that it describes. Okay. And also, you need to always end the sentence with the main verb. Without the main verb, it's a sentence fragment. You cannot say Facebook, which is used by 1.65 million people. You need to include the verb in the end of the sentence too, right? And that verb is part of the independent clause. All right. So let's take a look at the next slide. All right. Relative pronouns introduce adjective clauses, and these are who and that, which are used for a subject, and which or that, which is used for a subject or object, and whom and that. Whom is formal. It is used for the object noun, and whose is used for possessive noun. Like it substitutes for his, her, their, my, your, and our. For example, Otzi's bow, whose ends were unfinished, was almost ready to use. Truly, that sentence is, there are two sentences originally. Otzi's bow was unfinished. Okay. And then Otzi's, his bow, or his bow, excuse me, not bow, his bow was ready to use. So you can connect these two sentences using whose. You need to remember you're going to delete the his and you're going to say Aussie's bow, comma, whose, okay, you need that whose endings. Whose endings. I think it should be Aussie's bow, Aussie's endings, ends, excuse me. Um, so Aussie's bow, okay, Aussie's bow, whose ends, all right, were, because we need to change and make this plural because were is plural. And then you delete his bow because whose replaces his, right, in this sentence. You need to put a comma after the noun because Otzi has only one bow, right? If you only have one, you need a comma before the adjective clause and at the end of the adjective clause. So you need to delete the period and add a comma. There you have it. All right. So we can also use those who are that studied Otzi. We're not sure how he died. The man whom um, had been the man whom I'm not sure what this is, but Otzi carried the materials which he could ignite with a flint that he carried in his pocket. Okay, so these nouns are used. These relative pronouns are used to replace in the case of who, a subject, and that replaces a subject. Whom replaces the object noun, and that can also replace the object noun. And whose replaces the possessive noun. Okay, so it's important to know which ones replace subject nouns, which relative pronouns replace object nouns. Okay, yeah, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, relative adverbs. I'm not going to deal with them too much today, but and it's more like the adverb. It's more like it's like the adverb describes the adverb. Relative adverb describes the noun right before it. Otzi was named for the valley where he was found. No one is sure when he died. So when describes the year. No one knows the reason why he died either. Why describes the reason. You need to put the where, when, and why directly after the noun that you describe. That's very important, or else your sentence may be, the meaning of your sentence will be unclear. Okay, so some more things that this gets really advanced, but in English, we prefer that you use the adjective clause after the preposition. This is the most formal English. You can say the area in which Otzi was found was remote, or the area where Otzi was found was remote. You can also say the period during which Otzi lived had some basic technology. You could also say when, or the period that. I mean, actually, the period that Otzi lived had some basic technology. And then he met the person to whom she had written. The reason we use to whom is because the original sentence is she had written to the person. So what you are connecting is you are using this preposition here. She had written to the person, he met the person. So you are connecting that. You are deleting this here, deleting that, and then you get you met the person to whom she had written. All right, and then we also use the adjective clauses for quantity expressions. Like Otzi had a quiver with arrows, comma. You need the comma before the quantity expression and the adjective clause, some of which we're ready to use. Also, you can put it in. You can put this in the middle of the sentence too. You can put the quantity expression in the adjective clause in the middle of the sentence. My friends, many of whom studied abroad, are successful businessmen. Remember, you need to have this verb. You need a verb in the adjective clause, and you need a verb in the independent clause, because my friends are basically, the sentence is, you have two sentences, right? My friends are successful businessmen, and they studied abroad. Then you connect those two sentences together, and you just add the quantity expression and whom. Okay, so this can be really takes a lot of practice. Don't worry. If you are confused about this, there are many videos about how to use the adjective clauses after prepositions and quantity expressions on YouTube that you could review. All right, so just a word about formal writing. The most formal relative pronoun is whom, but it is a good practice to use whom in your essays. Um, it sounds like you really are fluent in English when you use whom. He met the person to whom she had written. This is the most formal. He met the person whom she had written to. When you put the preposition at the end, it's a little more conversational. It's more what people say. Um, he met the person who she had written to. Many Americans, native English speakers, I mean, would say who and then put the preposition at the end of the sentence. He met the person she had written to. This is also correct. You don't really need whom, because the adjective clause begins because when you modify the object, you don't really need an adjective clause. You don't need whom. It's kind of optional in a way. However, it appears that you are very formal when you use whom. I would say in your English 100 and or ESL 100 papers, you should use whom. It really depends on what your instructor asks you to do. Some instructors will ask you to use whom, while others do not mind if you use who and the preposition at the end of the sentence. Okay, so um, there are more examples here. I'm not going to go through all of them. Okay, but these are some examples of using where. Otzi was named for the valley where he was found. Um, the most formal would be in which he was found. I'll just put that here. In which is very formal. And the least formal is that. Otzi, see if I can write this correctly. Otzi was named for the valley that he was found in. This is very informal English, very informal. Okay, I don't recommend that you use this one in your essays. I would use where he was found. It's a lot easier to remember. Just one word, and it has the same meaning as in which. It has exactly the same meaning as in which. Also, using when is a good idea too, because it is easy to remember that no one is sure of the year when he died. Um, or you could say, no one is sure of the year um, during which he died. I really think that's a little awkward and long. And you could say, no one is sure of the year that he died, that's okay, that he died in. That just sounds also really awkward to me. As a native English speaker, I would always choose when to modify year, or day, or the time, you know. No one knows the reason why he died either. All right. So we use why. Um, it seems like almost like a noun clause, but it is not a noun clause because why modifies the noun reason. So if the relative pronoun modifies a noun, it is always a relative pronoun, and it is an adjective clause because it modifies a noun. It describes a noun. Just want to make that clear. And if you have questions about the difference between noun clauses and adjective clauses, you can look at many examples of noun clauses and adjective clauses on Google. They are very easy to find on Google, and also on any other search engine. So basically, one word about restrictive and non-restrictive adjective clauses is that a restrictive clause means that it's essential to identify the noun that it describes. That means that you you must you must remember that the sentence doesn't mean the same thing without that adjective clause. You must have that adjective clause, and there are no commas around it. Hikers found a man who died in the Alps. Okay, so you you need to remember that you describe a man and you don't know which man. That is why there are no commas, because you don't know who it is, right? And you need to use who because this who replaces a man or he. Non-restrictive means that the adjective clause provides extra information about the noun. If the adjective clause is not included in the sentence, you can still identify the same thing or person or place. And you will use commas around the adjective clause. For example, hikers found Otzi who lived 5,000 years ago. So you need the comma here. Okay. You can also say, and you don't put a comma at the end because you have a period. But when the adjective clause is in the middle of the sentence, then you need the comma after the noun and at the end of the adjective clause. It's very important that you remember that the comma goes after the noun and at the very end of the adjective clause. For example, Otzi, who lived 5,000 years ago, was killed with an arrow. Well, the reason why we use commas is that there is only one Otzi. There is only one person by this name who lived 5,000 years ago. Okay. Okay, so final practice. I made this presentation many years ago when I was working at Dominguez, Cal State Dominguez. So the carry-all hat was probably invented for someone who does not want to carry a purse and who always needs her cosmetics. Yeah, who modifies someone and who also modifies someone. You need to use in both parts of this sentence. You need to remember that this verb, does not want to carry, is connected to who, and this verb is also connected to who. You need to always remember also that the verbs are connected. The verbs in the adjective clauses are connected to their relative pronoun. In this case, that relative pronoun is who. Okay, so if you have questions, please email me. So also there are other videos that you can watch as presentations on adjective clauses that you can watch. All right, and thank you for watching.